we go. Let's do that. Yeah, huh? I'm going to pop back that one screen. Do that little intro just really quick again. We're doing What's Wrong with Me, an iris analysis in the constitutional style. I am going to walk you through an entire first appointment with a client. You are going to see how easy constitutional iridology makes everything you do in a holistic wellness practice. There we go. I am actually going to turn off my camera because I want you to focus on what we are talking about, not on me. We are not going to talk about every mark we see in an iris because every mark is not necessarily helpful. This is the eye. We will be looking at both of her eyes, and we'll be looking at a couple of views of both of her eyes of a female client who is 20-something. She came to me, and I'm just going to turn off one of my room lights that is giving us a bad reflection. There we go. That's much better, much better. Woo. Early 20-something, she recently graduated from university as a school teacher, and she landed her first job. So excited. She is working with special needs, mostly autistic kids. So this is her left iris, and it has what we call frontal lighting. Now, when we look at frontal lighting, it means that we've got all of the light coming from the front, so that we are going to find that that actually has some limitations. When she first came in, I asked her, what did she want my help with? That's all, you know, after the hi, hello, how are you kinds of things. We always ask, what do you want my help with? We don't dive into iridology right out of the starting blocks. So her concerns was that she has suffered with depression and anxiety for a lot of her life. And she's finding that with these big transitions that she's going through right now, with moving to another city, starting her very first job, that the depression and the anxiety are huge. She's also finding that she really gets a lot of upset stomachs, with a lot of pressure in her stomach, actually in the stomach, not in the abdomen, but in the stomach, every time she eats. And she feels like it's getting worse. She also has acne that has been getting worse for the past 3 months. So I asked her from there, are there any foods that were worse than others, that created more problems for her stomach than others? And she said no, but that she knew she was dairy intolerant, so she avoids dairy. I asked her, what is her diet? And just hitting highlight, she has a cup of coffee every day. She drinks about 1 liter of water every day. She has lots of vegetables. Some of them are raw, some of them are cooked. She typically has 1 to 2 servings of fruit per day. She eats yogurt and cream cheese. She eats a fair amount of salmon and shrimp and poultry. And she uses olive oil and avocado oil as her primary fat sources. So this is the left eye again. Now you'll notice in comparing the first image to this image that we've turned off one of the lights, right? So let's just pop back there real quick. See, we've got 2 lights, 1, 2. When we turn off, I'm just going to move my phone closer to my screen for those who are on Instagram with me. There you go. And when we turn off one of those lights, can you see that now we have these wrinkles or creases showing up more clearly? They don't show up well when we have frontal lighting, but when we have side lighting, they really pop. So I got super excited when I saw that, and when I saw other things in her eyes. And so I told her that her eyes suggest that she is a creative introvert, and that she holds her stress in her gut. And she started nodding her head. And so I asked her, do you prefer small groups or big groups? And she said she prefers small, and best is if it's a one-on-one situation. And I asked her if she was finding teaching to be a creative experience. She said absolutely, especially working with autistic children, needing to find ways to actually reach them, to help them get the education that they are there for. So her iris suggests the potential also for issues with her blood sugars, issues with her endocrine system, issues with her reproductive hormones. And it also, when we Her eyes also showed us that she has a better ability to have a better relationship with her mom than she does with her dad. So mom relationships show up in the left eye. As we look at her other eye, so we're looking at her right eye now, this reaffirms again that she is an introvert with less of a relationship with her dad. And it's interesting because that is an inherent potential. But she also, her parents are divorced. They divorced when she was quite young. And even though her parents lived fairly close to each other to give the kids equal access, she finds that she is not as close to her father. And, you know, that's not necessarily because of the divorce. It's not because she lived with her mother most of the time when she was growing up. It's just how she is. She has better, stronger relationships with women. Her eye also reaffirms in this image that she has a predisposition towards insufficient digestive potentials. So what we've got here is someone who really does well in one-on-one situations, who internalizes her stress dramatically, and who has a lot of gut and anxiety types of issues. So here again, we're going to side lighting. Notice the difference in the features that pop. Let's go back. See how even this actually looks. When we turn off one light, do you see that we have the contraction furrows showing up actually on both sides of this iris? So again, the side lighting makes contraction furrows really obvious. And if you do imaging with your clients, please always experiment with your lighting. Play it around, whether from frontal to side, dim it down, pump it up, play with the lighting to see what else you can see. When we see these contraction furrows, we know that she has a predisposition towards being a sympathetic nervous system responder. So that means that she's always going to be looking for the next crisis, right? She's always going to be ready to be there and respond in an overly dramatic way. So when we see that, it underscores for us the predisposition to need ongoing, lifelong nerve nutrient support and self-care to help her manage her stress and not internalize it. So just from what she had told me, seriously, this is a first appointment. There's a lot of other chit chat that goes on in getting to know them, but on the iridology level, this is what goes on, right? So on that first appointment, I found out what her diet is like. I found out what her primary concerns were. Then I looked at her eyes, just like we've done now. And based on that, I was able to suggest she needed to get rid of the coffee because it's not going to help her digestion one little bit, that she needed to add protein at breakfast because she was going to school on a primarily carbohydrate breakfast, which doesn't sustain and it doesn't keep the blood sugars even. So we got her to add eggs to breakfast. We also got her to add kefir or kefir, depending on where you're from, for the probiotics. And I find that using kefir is a much more powerful way to get probiotics into the body. There was a study done here at the University of Calgary. We've got some really special labs up here that are really cool. And what they found is that getting probiotics and prebiotics from food sources is more effective for changing the microbiome of the body than taking probiotics and prebiotics in capsules. So I've really gone towards using a whole lot more kefir or kefir with my clients than using supplemental capsules of probiotics. Additionally, we needed to get some more B vitamins into her on a consistent basis because she burns through them very quickly. That's what her contraction furrows tell us, right? We wanted to use something to help her sleep because the anxiety was often messing with her sleep. So we got her to use a little bit of passion flower in the evenings especially. And because her eyes also have that little bit of a suggestion that her liver may not be inherently well programmed to handle the phase 1 and phase 2 detox, we got her using some N-acetylcysteine, and that's going to be a lifelong supplement that we use for her. Now, why would we care about the liver when, really her symptoms don't look like they're really liver related? Well, it's because traditional Chinese medicine tells us that depression and anxiety come from the liver. And so if we can help the liver do its phase 1 and phase 2 liver detox, we can take the depression and the anxiety down a lot. So that's all of the iridology I did in her first appointment. I did not look at every little detail because I didn't need to. And I would never do that because I used to do it that way. And it really overloads the client, gives them way too much understanding. So what I really learned is that when I keep my iris analysis very simple, focused on what the client needs, I can educate my client on that level, help them understand the way their body is inherently put together and how to work with it. They don't need to know if there's a marking that relates to their pinky finger. They really don't. They don't need to know if there's a marking that relates to the jaw. They may not even need to know at this stage of the game if there is a marking that relates to their heart and lungs. If that's not the concern they've come in with, I'm not going in that direction at this point in time. So 5 weeks later, this client came back for a follow-up. Actually, she's living out of town, so we did it by Zoom. Oh, I love Zoom. And because I had her photos and because her irides are inherently predisposed, they weren't going to change, right? They're not going to change in a way that says, you did this with your diet, see this change in your iris. So it matters not that I couldn't see her face to face to look at her eyes. I did have these photos and it's a good reference. So at the 5-week mark, she said her gut was so much better. And what she had figured out by giving up the coffee was that was a huge part of her problem, but she was now also able to isolate that gluten is an issue for her. She doesn't need a lot of it, and that really makes it easy to pinpoint where the issues are. She was still finding the depression was pretty high, but she'd also made an interesting observation. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. She had found that her anxiety was becoming much more noticeable. What she had noticed about the depression was that her depression is often in response to what she would perceive as being attacks. So what does that really mean? Well, she works with special needs kids, and what she had found was that her depression just blew out of proportion when she had a parent come to her very angry about the fact that this child who had had some serious behavioral issues in the previous several days was not permitted to go on a field trip. This parent really verbally attacked my client. And fortunately, my client's admin was able to support her and said, support you in that decision. Yeah, that child was not just a behavior problem, but a safety problem if they'd gone on that trip. But this client couldn't shake it. She couldn't shake it. How many clients do we have that are like that? They take the negative and they take it like it's a dagger and they stab it into their own heart and they twist it. And they keep that so close to their heart and they can't move past it. So what that meant was knowing that this client is a sympathetic nervous system responder, that is her first response, is to really go into the drama. And I'm not saying that in a negative or a hurtful way, but everything gets magnified by at least 10 times. The next course of action for her in her second appointment was that I needed to teach her how to do emotional freedom technique. She needed to have a tool or a skill to help her let go and of these things, to help her release that negative energy that she was holding on to so tightly. And the beauty of EFT is when you know how to do it, you can apply it to just about any situation in your world that you could ever run into. So this this idea of being able to get into my clients to understand how they're put together, to understand how much information to give them, to understand what is the best option for the next step in their therapeutic sequence is why I love doing iridology, why I love doing constitutional iridology. This is exactly why I teach the program, Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology. Now, registration for that class is open now. So I'm hoping it would be all right if I spent a few minutes here and introduced myself a little bit more and shared a few more details with you about the class. Would that be okay with you? Let's go. We're just going to move this back a little bit because Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology is a course that I've put together because of where I come from. I became a holistic practitioner, as I said, 40 years ago, and I learned another style of iridology to start with. It was a style that said the eyes change when we change the diet, that that you need to nitpick every little detail that you see. And I found that after, well, about 5 or 6 years into it, I was getting frustrated because it wasn't working for me. And by the 10-year mark, I was done with it. I was ready to walk away from iridology because it wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for my clients. My clients were getting overwhelmed with too much information. I was just doing this the way I'd been taught to do it. My clients were not seeing changes in their eyes, even though they were doing all of the remarkable work that I was outlining for them, at least the ones that came back. I mean, when you get overwhelmed and you can't do it, guess what? You don't go back. You don't want to tell anybody that you failed, right? So that was when I learned constitutional iridology. Now, learning constitutional iridology was fabulous, but it wasn't the complete turning point because I still had to figure out how do I integrate this new style of iridology, it was new to me, style of iridology, into my work so that I can actually work more effectively with my clients. And that's exactly what I did. It took me a couple of years, and now I teach it as Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology. This is a live online mentored course for nutritionists, herbalists, and naturopaths who want to streamline their clinical work without sacrificing client care. So they can stop working unpaid overtime to develop client programs. They can stop overwhelming their clients with programs that just are not going to work. They can create programs that will create client compliance, client success, and a long-term retention. So the goal of Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology is to teach you constitutional iridology and how to use it. How to use it so you can confidently integrate what you already know about nutrition, what you already know about herbology to confidently create doable client programs in your paid client sessions. Let's look at another set of eyes here. This is a client of mine who is in her mid-30s. She came to me with some fertility issues. She'd been trying to get pregnant for a couple of years. She'd had one conception that ended up in a miscarriage. So as you look at her eyes, look at how deep the layers go. Right, when you look here, you see shading in these, and that tells you that we're looking deeper into the eyes. As we look at this again, we want to look at the collarette, and we've got an expanded picture of this to show us what that looks like. So her eyes suggest that there might be a personal or a family history of the MTHFR defect, which would make fertility a huge challenge. Her eyes also suggest that she has that she may have a personal or family history of liver insufficiencies. And that, of course, if the liver's not happy, fertility can be hugely compromised. There's a slight cloudiness over the edge of her iris, which suggests, again, a personal or family history, more personal than family in this case, of liver enzyme insufficiencies, which can lead to carbohydrate metabolism issues. So I asked her about her carb cravings, and she said, yeah, she had those. So we got that cleaned up, got her diet totally squared away. Now, doing that alone was enough to make her cycles regular. She wanted to get pregnant. Her cycles were not regular. They were happening about every 90 days. Cleaning up her diet got her cycles down to about the 30 to 35 day mark. Now, if you know what a 90-day cycle means, it means that medically she would be diagnosed with having polycystic ovarian syndrome. By getting her cycles down to the 30 to 35 day mark, by understanding the possible liver interactions here, and that she might also be have the MTHFR defect, really helped us to bring everything around with her supplements to the point where she was able to conceive. Again, I didn't need to look at every marking in the eye, because every marking in her eye was not crucial to where she wanted to go with her health. When we look at the course Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology, here's how it's delivered: 20 2-hour-long live webinars. This contains all of the curriculum you need to take the IPA certification exam if you so choose. And in the scope of this course, you'll have access to the online materials for the lifetime of the course. We're going to go over what's included in the course in just a moment. The content, you're going to learn so much in this course. The content goes like this. We cover an introduction, the history of iridology, eye anatomy. Lessons 2 through 5, we talk all about the colors and the pigments and what that means for the person's constitution, how they're inherently put together. We look at their subtypes based on colors and pigments. We look at the different little freckles of colors that we see in the eyes. Lessons 6 to 8, we learn about fiber variations and lacunae, and again, how that affects their constitutional type. Lessons 9 through 16, we look at different zones. How do the bones and the organs and the muscles and the circulation and the body's ability to detox all show up inherently in the eyes? We cover all of that and more. We look at how the eyes change. They do change, but they don't change the way so many people are saying, where you do a cleanse and your eyes turn blue. We look at the sclera, because the sclera gives us dynamic information about the here and the now. And in lesson 20, we do a wrap up so you know what you need to do next if you want to certify with IPA. Now, I know a lot of these words don't mean anything to you just yet, and that's perfectly okay. They're all a part of the course, and they will be rolling off your tongue like you're a well-seasoned pro by the time your coursework is done. This course is just so jam-packed with so much learning and value that even by the halfway mark, my students can't believe how much they've already learned. So here again, the course is 20 2-hour-long live webinars, and the value of this is $23.95 Canadian. Now, I want to know if you've ever purchased anything in those Canadian dollars, right? They're kind of exotic, right? We're going to talk more about the conversion of Canadian to many different currencies in a few minutes. And here is what's included in this. 20, again, interactive 2-hour live webinars. We do 1 a week for the duration of the course. I want you to consider for a moment what it would cost you to travel somewhere to take a 40-hour course. So that's a 5 or 6 day course, right? So you'd have your tuition, and I know you're going to do this. You're going to go online and you're going to look for IPA certified instructors who are teaching. You're going to find that their tuitions for the same curriculum that I'm well, can't say it's the same. For the iridology content, they may not teach how to integrate nutrition and herbology, but for the iridology content, it's going to be anywhere from $1,200 to $1,750 US dollars. That's actually translates to $1,750 is like 2,400 Canadian. It's huge. These are, again, these are taught by IPA certified instructors, great courses, but these tuitions don't include your airfare. They don't include your hotel for the week. They don't include your meals for the week. They don't include your ground transportation to and from the venue. They don't include taking a week off work. And, you know, if maybe you've got childcare or pet care, other expenses at home, right? You're looking at a minimum of $2,000 more in expenses, US, over and above your tuition. Now, I found that for myself, I don't learn well when you drop me into something that is super intense. I do much better if I can do a couple of hours and then go study it and practice it and review it and then come back and learn a little bit more for a couple of hours and then go study and practice it and review it and come back. And that's exactly why I teach this as 2 hours once a week. So people who are interested in taking this course often ask things like, can I really learn to do iridology in 40 hours? I have absolutely no background in iridology. Will I be able to do this course successfully? What if I've already taken classes in iridology and I'm not using what I've already learned? How is this course going to make any difference? Well, let's take a look at what a few of my students have said. This is the lovely Sharon Bimrose. I must say that I attract the nicest students. If you're nice, you're welcome to join the class. If you're not nice, don't join. Okay, but Sharon is lovely. She is one of my wonderful students. She's graduated. She had already taken iridology as a part of her studies as a naturopath. And she goes on to say, Judith's course in Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology surpassed my previous training in structure, content, delivery, documentation, and support. Iridology has certainly reduced the time required for prioritizing a treatment plan. Iridology, without a doubt, has been a huge game changer to my practice. Go, Sharon. The lovely Helen Murdoch had just finished her course and was in our private students group and was being congratulated on that. And she commented, she came in with no background whatsoever. She said, what a great educational experience. Thank you, Judith. Michelle Davies, lovely Michelle, came to me well trained already. She had 3 certificates from David Pesek and 1 from Dr. Peirce. But she said that my course most importantly taught her how to put it all together to make a proper assessment. So that might have been something that was missing from the other courses. This is Stephanie. Stephanie has a master's in education, and she said she had searched online looking for ways to teach herself, but she found that everything she found for YouTube videos and so on was conflicting and confusing and overwhelming. She was doing internet searches and kept hearing conflicting things. I kept searching on the internet and I stumbled across your YouTube channel and thought, oh my, this person knows how to teach. That was my introduction to a very reasonable approach, one that resonated with me. If you want to hear a more up-to-date testimonial from Stephan, just search me up on YouTube. She's done a beautiful little video there that really talks about what she's benefited. This is the lovely Karen Joe. She came to me with no iridology training, but well trained as a certified natural health practitioner. You can see the range of students that I've had in this course. She said after she had graduated and certified, iridology has helped me to understand the relationships between different organs and organ systems more in depth. Iridology also gives me an advantage of seeing the potential for different genetic traits and qualities that may be underlying. By observing the Constitution, for example, you can extrapolate how the person's body will likely respond to applications of healing methods. Therefore, it has helped me to expand my knowledge and increased efficiency at providing more precise recommendations for health-oriented options. Karen used to spend hours outside of her client sessions creating protocols for her clients. Iridology has helped her to stop doing that so that she actually gets all of her client programs developed right in her client sessions. So what else do you get when you take this course? In this course, you get a video, you get recordings, video recordings of every class. It's like getting the class a second time. You get topic recordings for every lesson. So maybe you missed a lesson, maybe you were traveling, maybe you were unwell, maybe family got in the way and you had to miss a lesson, no problem. Go back and listen to the recording of your actual class. What if there's only one concept that you need to review? It's not quite sticking. That's why we have the topic recordings. Go into that lesson, search out the one topic you need, and just spend the time on that one topic. It's kind of like the Cliff's Notes version, right, of the course. So that again is like getting the course 3 times over. Each one of those has a value of $23.95. So the total value of this program is over $7,000. This course includes an amazing amount of mentoring both during the course and for the long term after you complete the course. So if all this program did was help you learn iridology well, learn how to integrate it with what you're already doing to help you be more efficient, more effective, more on point with your clients, if it helped you get rid of any time that you're spending after the session creating client programs, would that be worth it? Maybe it would. Well, here's the deal. I don't know what the economy is like where you live. Where I live, our city is turning into a ghost town. I'm in an oil-based economy. Everything is moving south. Our government has made some really bad decisions, and we have oil companies leaving Calgary by the dozens. And really, seriously, it's really hurting our economy. So because of that, I don't know what your economy is, but I'm really concerned that practitioners have the training they need to do their job well. So what is the actual investment? Well, if you are ready to get your programs, your client programs developed in your sessions, and if you feel like Confident Nutritionist might be the next best move for you, the actual investment is 5 payments of $529 Canadian or 1 payment of $23.95 Canadian. Now let's talk about those Canadian dollars because they are pretty exotic and I get it. And there's a ton of extra bonuses that I'm going to be including. So actually, let's first look at our time zones here. Time zones, we start January 15th is the first day of the class. Again, it's 20 sessions long. We are 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is my time zone. If you're Pacific, you'll be at 4 p.m. If you're Central, you'll be 6 p.m. Eastern, 7. If you're in the UK, my apologies, that's midnight, probably not a great time for a class, but I've got something for you, so just hang on. If you're in Australia, you're looking at the next day. So let's look at this a little bit more. But Christmas is coming, right? Christmas is coming, and economy being bad, we want to actually make this even a little bit more friendly for you. If you've been looking for an iridology class, I am ready to give you an early Christmas present for that January 15th start date. 5 monthly payments of $449 Canadian or 1 payment of $19.95. Now this is a really special promotion. It's only on till December 6th at 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So in addition to this, you're going to get early access to the Facebook group that is only for my students and my grads. You will also get access to the office hours calls and recordings that we've done over the last 18 months. So they might be a little over your head to begin with, but they might be a good place to pick up some good little tips. Now let's talk about those Canadian dollars. $19.95 Canadian when you put it through the payment portal is going to come out to be about $15.50 US. No travel, no hotel, no time off work, learning at a pace that doesn't make your brain feel like it's going to melt. If you're in Australia, you're so glad we're charging in Canadian dollars here because can you imagine what that would be in American dollars? In Canadian, Australian, this is going to be about $22.65 Australian for the 1 payment. And if you're in Britain, in the UK, you're looking about 1,200 British pounds sterling. So aren't those Canadian dollars fabulous? Oh my goodness, they really are. But remember that December 6th is the deadline, and December 6th, 9 p.m. tuition, this early registration special is going to disappear. So what else do you get here? You get a digital downloadable textbook. Most teachers make you buy a textbook that is usually about $250. I've written a digital downloadable textbook. It has a value of $250, and we include that as a bonus. Print it up if you want. We have a digital downloadable iris map. Most teachers make you buy your own from them, and again, they typically are charging $25. And so I've created one that is also digital and downloadable. It is included as a bonus for you. cheat sheets. Would you love to have an actual Coles Notes or Cliff's Notes version of the course? Of course you would, because this puts the entire curriculum into a chart format with the name of the markers or the name of what you're looking at, where it's usually found, questions you would ask, common symptoms you might see if the client has an issue with that, and possible recommendations to make. $175. I do not know of any other teacher that has created cheat sheets. This is a value of $175 Canadian, and it's included as a bonus. This is the bonus that I actually get super excited about. You know, most of the time when you take a class somewhere, what happens is they kick you out when you finish your coursework. If you've got a Facebook group or mentoring or whatever, right? You're out as soon as your coursework is done, sink or swim. I don't believe in doing that. My instructor still mentors me, and I studied with him 30 years ago. If I have a question, I can send it to him and he answers it. I extend that to my students as well. Regardless of whether you certify or not, regardless of whether you're in your course sessions or you finished them years ago, we have the private Facebook group and we have the office hours calls. These are where we discuss cases and questions that you might have in real time to help you get the answers you need. It really helps to build your confidence because you know you're not alone. You don't have to do this by yourself. You've got me and you've got other students and other grads who have done this already. Now, again, if you're in the UK, remember that there's so much that's recorded for you. And even with the office hours, we've got them at different times of the day. One a month is at noon Mountain Time, the others at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. So one of those, the noon one works for you. If you're in Australia, the 4 p.m. one probably works for you. We record the office hours calls and they are stored for 18 months. So you can go back and listen to them. We have exam mentoring. Now, not all of my students want or need to be certified with IPA. That is totally up to you. If you do decide you want or need to be certified with IPA, however, there are some extra requirements that you do need to fulfill. Beyond the classes and completing 80% of that coursework, and I would suggest 100 is better, you will need to purchase a student membership from IPA. I suggest waiting to do this until you are very near the end of your coursework because you need to have that active membership before you, in order to sit for the final exam. You will need to provide IPA with proof that you have successfully passed a college level anatomy and physiology course. Then you will need to do IPA exam 1, where I give you 10 case studies and you write them up, which is you will never do iridology that way ever again. You send them to me, I mark them, you and I meet for a one-on-one private tutorial to review what you did. Are there areas that you need some support on? Are there things that you know really well? Did you think things through in a logical sequence? And if you need more, then I give you more case studies and we replay that whole thing over again. If you and I both agree you're rock solid, then we go to IPA exam 2, which is a case study that IPA gives me to give to you. You write it up, you send it back to me. I mark it, you and I meet in a private one-on-one to make sure you are totally ready. When you and I agree that you are ready for that IPA exam, then I let IPA know. You make sure you've got your student membership. You go onto the IPA Facebook page or IPA website rather, and you register for the exam there. You pay your exam fee directly to IPA. They release the exam in a digital format. Many instructors charge extra for the mentoring. I include it as a bonus for any students who want to go that direction. So all totaled, your bonuses alone add up to nearly $29,000 worth. The course with the bonus is worth over $31,000. So again, with all of this, if all this program did was give you the confidence to create your wellness programs right in your own sessions, would it be worth it? Laura Arvieto, another one of my grads, said this when she was still taking the course. I'm still studying herbology and nutrition. Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology is helping me to integrate everything I'm learning. I feel so blessed to have found this course. So once again, just until Friday, December 6th at 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Special little pre-Christmas promotion, 5 monthly payments of $449 Canadian, or 1 payment for the whole thing of $19.95 Canadian. Now, again, people do ask lots of questions, and we've answered a lot of these already. Is this a correspondence or self-paced course? No, it is not. This is a do it with your cohort, start on January 15th, move through with the group program. How long will it take me to go through the course? About 20 weeks, because we've got 20 lessons. Plus, of course, and certification time if you need that. How much time per week do I need to set aside for the program? You'll need 2 hours for each class and about 2 to 3 hours to practice assessing eyes. I'm going to be out of town for next month. Will I fall too far behind? No. It's all recorded. It's all stored on a student site. You can listen to those recordings whenever, or, you know, if you have internet access and the time zones work for you, just join us live from wherever you are. How do I know if this course is right for me? Well, if you're a nutritionist, herbalist, naturopath, holistic practitioner, and you're looking for a proven way to assess your client's needs quickly and easily, this course is for you. When will I know enough to start using what I learn? I always recommend that you should start using what you learn by the end of lesson 2. Start practicing early and practice often to learn it well. What else do I need to buy for this course? A total of about $75 Canadian worth of stuff. You need a magnifying glass that is a 5 to 10 power, pen light, and a lighted magnifier. And we actually go over that in the first class so that you know exactly what to buy locally. If I don't like it, can I get a refund? This is a certification course for professionals, so we don't offer refunds. What comes next? Well, go to iridology.education/priority1. Choose the payment option that works for you. After paying, you'll receive a couple of emails. One of them that will be a welcome email, and the other will have a link to your enrollment contract. Complete the contract and submit it to me. Within 1 business day, you'll receive the another email that will contain all of your logon info for the Zoom, for your student sites, and for the Facebook group invitation. So as promised, though, I have another little thing for you, and that is, actually I probably have two. I've got one thing, right? And that is 4 keys to better client appointments. So if you are struggling to get your client work done in your appointment session, I am going to suggest that you hop on over, just trying to get to where I can do this because it's not letting me. Okay, attendees, why is this not letting me? I'm trying to make sure that I can, there we go. There we go. All right, and sorry about that. I need to post this in the comments for those who have joined me on the webinar. There we go. My apologies for that. You can see the link on the screen. For those of you who are joining me on Instagram, 4 keys to better client appointments is going to help you identify 4 specific stumbling blocks and some of the solutions that we've talked about today to help you overcome some of the problems that you're having in your business. So if you're feeling a little scared or a little jittery or a little anxious, that's probably how you should be feeling. When you think about the last really major decision you made, were you a bit jittery? Did you feel a little excited? That meant you were on the right track, right? It was a good answer for you. So if you're feeling that way, I'm going to encourage you to go to iridology.education/priority1 and do it before Friday, December 6th at 9 p.m. Get yourself registered so we can get you into the class. If you have any tech issues when you register, reach out to me. Again, iridology.education/priority1. Thank you so much for being with me today. I really appreciate it. I hope that you learned something from the iridology that we covered, and I look forward to seeing you in the course. Thanks so much. Bye for now.